know. Yep. Okay, so as I was talking about before break, we have a situation in our house where I'm using a wireless access point in the basement to function as a switch for a couple machines down there. And somewhere along the lines, the wireless access point that I was using down there was reset to factory defaults. And so the circumstances were occasionally users in my house will say, hey, I'm unable to get to the internet's down, right? And after public ridicule of them saying the internet's down because the internet wasn't down, internet access in my house was down, okay? After publicly ridiculing them, I then normally say, I figured it's their problem, right? Because I'm working fine, and that's really all I care about in my house. So last night, I don't know why, in a weak moment, I decided to actually troubleshoot it. And so I'm trying to think, oh, it was a phone that they brought to me, and it showed a screen of Belkin. And I'd seen that before, but ignored it. It was actually the manufacturer of the wireless access point downstairs. God bless you. The one upstairs instead is a Cisco Linksys access point. That's the one they're all supposed to be logged into. And what I found was they were actually connecting to the right access point, but when I did an IP config on my own computer, now my own computer has a wired connection, so it wasn't affected by any of that. And so I do an IP config, and I noticed there was no gateway selected. Okay? So basically I connected my wireless access point, enabled my wireless connection. Hold on, time out. Reader Rabbit, do you have people signed up for the basketball concessions? Yeah. And when is that?
December 8th.
December 8th, Tuesday night.
Yep.
And we got a full list, everybody's...
Actually, I think we might need 2 more, but I'm going to talk to Fernando.
Okay, email me the list of people who are signed up, please. Yep. Or if it's on Google Docs, I guess I can look
I
at
have
it.
a spreadsheet. Yep.
Well, email it to me anyway.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so I did an IP config, and there was no gateway listed. Okay, that's a little weird. Why was there no gateway issued? So, if there's no gateway issued, what do you think the next thing I looked at? Why was there no gateway? Where would that be a problem? If I've got an IP address and I've got a subnet mask, but I don't have a gateway. Now, you two, I expect to know the answer and to care. I want some more hands, some different hands. People who don't answer questions, God bless you. Taylor, talk to me. What's responsible for giving me a gateway IP address? No, not the DNS server. Because, Miguel, what's a DNS server do? It doesn't pass out IP address or gateway addresses. The DNS server, no, that's a DHCP server. That's what I said. One more time, one more chance. What's a DNS? DNS. It resolves. We covered it right before break. It resolves. If you don't know this answer, then you need to write it down as soon as Zach answers it. Zach, what does a DNS server do? Does not solve internet problems. I'm going to go down the list. Jill, what does a DNS server do? Okay. Quinn, what does a DNS server do?
Resolves host names to IP addresses.
It resolves host names to IP addresses. We've covered it twice already this morning. We've covered it just about every class for the last week and a half. Somewhere along the lines, you guys need to write this down and recall it. Try to memorize it. So it's the most important thing you'll ever do on a Windows network if you're responsible for it, is to get your DNS right. Okay? So get your DNS together. All right, so if it wasn't the DNS server responsible for giving me the gateway, what was it, Josh? The DHCP server. Okay? So I knew there was a problem with the DHCP server because I didn't get an IP address. And actually, before I even checked the DNS server, what are the 2 ways of getting an IP address on a computer? DHCP server, I'll give you that part of it, and you manually assign it. So what do you think the next step was that I went through to figure out why I didn't have a gateway address? Don't look away. Huh? There are two ways of assigning an IP address.
You manually tried to assign it.
Right? I manually try, and so if it wasn't being assigned, what do you think I checked?
I don't know.
If I didn't get a gateway address, and I know that there are only two ways of that IP address or gateway address being assigned, one is through DHCP, the other is through manually assigning it, what do you think I went to check first? Austin, Howell? Did you hear the question?
Yeah.
What do you think I checked? Come on, guys. Larry.
The DHCP server.
Okay, so I checked the DHCP server, but I actually checked the other one first, which was what?
It was.
Huh? Where did I go? If it wasn't a DHCP server, where did I go? Okay, everybody think about this. You have a computer. You guys have a computer, right? Pay attention. You have a computer. There are two ways that that computer can get an IP address. One of them is what? Jason? DHCP server. I just told you that I didn't check the DHCP server, I checked the other one. What is the other way of it getting an IP address? Manually. So if I didn't check the DHCP server, where do you think I went to check to see if it was configured properly?
On your side.
Larry, redeem yourself.
You went to the properties on your internet.
I went to the properties of my wireless adapter to see if it was manually assigned. What do you think I saw when I went to that manually assigned? It wasn't manually assigned. So what were the settings on it? If it wasn't manually assigned, what did it show when I went to that adapter? Jessica, click on properties and then tell me what you got. And then go to IP4. What did I see? It says obtain an IP address automatically. That's what it was set to. So it was configured properly to get an IP address from a DHCP server. However, I still didn't have an IP address for the gateway. All right, so what do you think I did next? Austin?
ipconfig/release, same thing with /renew.
Actually, that's exactly what I did. I did an ipconfig /release, but then I had to do something else.
Renew.
Austin, raise your hand next time you have the desire to answer a question. Someone else can cheat and use Austin's answer because it was correct. Yes?
Did you by chance renew it?
No, I didn't. No, actually I did. And what was the command?
IP config/renew.
ipconfig /renew. Okay? It came back and gave me an IP address and a subnet mask and no gateway address. So what do you think I did then? Christopher?
Did you assign it manually?
No, well, that would have been cheating. That would have been cheating. What do you think I did? Clearly the problem is where, Christopher?
The DNS? Or the
The DHCP server, you're right.
Yeah.
The DHCP server. So the problem is with the DHCP server. So one more time, Christopher, what do you think I did?
You went to go check that?
I what now? Say it again.
You checked the...
I checked the DHCP server. Does anybody know how you check a DHCP server in a common house? Where does the DHCP server normally reside? When? Not the ISP. Well, it does if you're configuring the external port on your firewall or on your cable modem. Where do you normally get your IP address at your house, Frank? From your router, okay, which is also my wireless access point. Okay, so now it's becoming clear. So I looked at a computer that was working properly, mine, right, that's wired. And then I looked at the IP address and it showed 172.16.something.something. All right, and it was set to DHCP for my wired adapter. So it's working properly. I looked at the wireless adapter's IP configuration. How did I do that?
Settings.
Settings. how did I just check it real quick to see what was assigned to it? What would I do?
You just click, put an IP config on the.
I type IP config and look at the thing. Okay, that was what showed up wrong. So the wired adapter is right, the wireless adapter is wrong. The wired adapter, I did then an IP config all. Everybody do an IP config all. And tell me what piece of information I saw on the wired adapter, which was configured properly, that I did not see on the wireless adapter when I did an IP config all. IP config / all. Tell me what you think I saw that was different. If I'm getting the correct IP address on one, I'm getting an incorrect IP address on the other, what do you think I found in the IP config all that gave me a clue as to what the problem was? Michael Feast. Not the MAC address. Two different MAC addresses, one wireless, one wired. Yes, Austin?
You look at your routing table?
No, not my routing table. I did an IP config all, I didn't do a route print. Yes?
See if the DHCP is enabled on both of them.
Well, I know it's enabled because I saw both of them said obtain an IP address automatically, like Jessica showed us. What did I see? What did I see, Jason?
This is something with DNS servers.
That had nothing to do with DNS. Okay? One of the items that you see on that list, it does say you were on the right track. Not you, Jason. Sorry. Jill, IP config / all. Enter. Just start typing. Config / dozen. All. Okay? You guys may have to scroll up to be able to get everything. Jordan, do you know the answer to this? How about Johnny? Johnny, you know the question? Okay. Yes. Very good. It was the IP address of the DHCP server was different. Okay, on my wireless versus my wired. Okay? So, that led me back to what is the IP address of the DHCP server on the connection that doesn't work properly versus what is the IP address of the configuration that does work properly. Remember, the wired connection works properly. And I'm actually even getting, on my wired connection, I was getting a proper IP address from the proper access point. So in any configuration, remember this, folks, in any configuration, any network, any local area network, unless you've specifically set up some sort of redundancy. What does redundancy mean, Miguel? You don't know, Zach? You don't know what redundancy means? Taylor? Okay, I'm using terms that you guys don't understand. I apologize. Jason?
Redundancy in computer terms is like a backup.
That's a very good definition. Redundancy in computer terms would refer to some sort of a backup. So unless you're specifically configuring a backup DHCP server, there's usually absolutely no reason to have more. In fact, there are a lot of reasons you don't want to have, and evidenced by my network at home. You don't want to have two DHCP servers running at the same time because they're either going to give you the same IP addresses to two different devices, or they're going to give you the wrong network address for different devices that happen to do it. So, the Belkin access point, which I only wanted to use as a switch, that's the only reason I had it in there, was to use those extra 4 ports and to tie in my TV downstairs with the rest of my network. That was giving out IP addresses, which is the default configuration for most wireless access points or routers. It'll pass out IP addresses. So I remote connected to the Belkin adapter, or the Belkin access point, disabled DHCP, and it started working magically. Okay? Then everything referred back to the proper access point. Okay? So there is a very practical application of knowing the proper commands from a command prompt to be able to troubleshoot network connectivity. Again, whether you ever get a certification or not, it's something that you can use at home. Okay? By knowing a few things. One, access points or routers normally have DHCP enabled. Knowing that you have to be on the right network to be able to communicate. knowing that in order to be able to get to the internet, you must have a what, Johnny? Not necessarily the HTTP server, because you could assign an IP address automatic or assign it statically. What do you have to be able to get to route between one network and another? A what? No. In other words, if I want to be able to connect to a network other than my own local area network, what has to be configured? What do I have to be able to connect to? A router. And that router shows up on your local IP configuration. How do you tell your local IP settings how to find the router? No? Chris?
Repeat the question out where I'm sending down.
Where in a local area, in a IP configuration on a computer, on a phone, on a printer, do you see the IP address of the router? In what setting? How many know the answer to this question? Where in your IP configuration do you see the IP address for your router on your network? Just a handful of people know that. After the last month and a half, we've been working on this. You don't know, John? I'm going to look at the IP configuration on my computer. Where would I do that? Josh, tell me where I would do that. Direct me. Settings where? How do I get to it? I can't hear you, Josh. Okay. There's the Wi-Fi. Open Network and Sharing Center. How do I change the IP settings? Change adapter. What am I looking at here? Chris, what am I looking at?
That's like the, I don't know what it's called.
You don't know what these are. What are each of these?
Network.
Huh?
Network.
Networks? There's another name for it. What are these? What are these devices?
Hosts.
Not host. Well, it's correct, but not for why you think it is. Text.
It's in the,
Answer my question. What are these? Look at the screen.
those are your wireless, those are your, I want to say your peripheral, your hardware in your computer.
What's that called that connects to a network?
A wireless card.
This is not a wireless card.
No.
What are those? There's one phrase for it, 3 words. Jessica, what are each of these called? No one knows. Quentin Grosky. Network interface cards. Every one of those is a network interface card. Okay, you got that? Everybody understand that? NIC or network adapter. All right, so if I want to find out how to configure the IP address, Chris, continue on with this. What's next?
You click on one that you're on right now, so that,
Okay, I'm on one. Now what?
uh,
How do I change the IP configuration? Talk me through it.
you right click it.
Right click.
And let's see that.
Can you read that?
No.
Go up until you can read it. What is it? What's next? Properties. Select that. Now what? Oh, I lost my. There we go. Now what?
Scroll down.
Okay, scroll down. Very good. Now what? Internet Protocol version 4. I'm there. Now what? Double click or click Properties. All right, now, again, where on this setting, go ahead and have a seat, where in these settings right here do I tell my computer, this network interface card, what adapter to go to, or where, I'm sorry, what IP address to go to for the router? Everyone should have their hand up. Who does not know? Jordan, do you know the answer? Look at the settings. Where do I tell this computer, if, let's say I was going to manually do it. I'll change this to use the following IP address. Which one of those settings tells this computer the router IP address? If I were going to type in the IP address of the router that I want this computer to connect to, where would I type it? I can't. No, that's not the IP address of the router, that's the IP address of the local computer. Taylor, look up at the screen, son. Default gateway. I would type in the IP address for the default gateway. What is another name for the default gateway? Michael Lieber. What's another name for the default gateway? What is the default gateway? It's the IP address for the router. Okay? All right. So, now we know how a computer is configured, how the IP addresses are assigned. Now, I'll warn you, this is something you should have known a month and a half ago, and if you didn't, it's your own fault. If you didn't know those answers that I was just asking you those questions, one of two things was happening. Either one, actually one of three things. The first one is you weren't paying attention to this question, and because it's a large class, you thought you could slide by without getting called on it. Or two, you were too lazy to pay attention in a previous lecture. Or three, you just learned it wrong to begin with, you didn't bother reading the material. So it's your own fault if you didn't know the answers to those questions. So you need to get your acts together and pay attention to what's going on in the class. And that doesn't go just for the ones that I called on, because I remember asking one person who I know knew the answer, and he didn't know the answer because he wasn't paying attention to the question. So pay attention and learn this material, because this is very, very simple. Okay? All right. Now that we know where IP configuration settings are, now we're going to go through some troubleshooting scenarios. The troubleshooting scenarios are, there are several of them that are out there. What? Yes, but he's not here. The troubleshooting scenarios are as follows. You're in a business network. How many of you have parents who own their own business? Okay? What kind of business?
Cement company?
Cement company. Do they have computers there? No computers in the cement company? Really?
He has one at the house.
He has one at the house. He probably does, what, accounting on it, or
Just like, he kept all of his accounts, like business cards.
business, like who, contacts and stuff like that?
That's where he did his invoices.
Okay, did his invoice. All right, how many others have a parent that owns a company? Yes, what kind of business?
He has like a tuxedo and dress shop in town, and then he also has like party rental stuff.
Okay, does he use the internet for anything?
Yeah.
So he has computers there at the business?
He has one at the shop, and he has one home.
Okay, the one at the shop. The one at the shop, does it connect to the internet?
Yeah.
Okay. And doesn't have any other computers there? Any other, like in a local area network?
He has an iPad that he carries.
That connects to it also? Connects to the internet also? He's got a local area network. May not be the biggest local area network in the world, but there's a local area network there. The reason there's local area networks is you have two computers that are connecting probably through the same network connection or router to the internet. Which means if they connect to the same router, then chances are they can communicate with each other, whether you know it or not, or whether they are or not, right? Do you know if they connect, if the iPad can connect to the computer? Or does he ever do that? Don't know? Okay. But you know for a fact he connects to the internet.
Yeah.
All right, here's the scenario. What does he use the internet for? Does he do ordering through the internet?
Yeah, he does ordering and then emails people. And
Okay. So here's the situation. Your father's name is what?
Jose.
Jose. Jose comes into the office one day. He's got a huge order because Plymouth High School has decided to do central ordering of all of their tuxedos, right? Tuxedos for the prom to save students money. And they don't believe that students can make a good decision. They don't believe that it's a huge order. How many people, anybody know how many people went to the last year's prom, roughly? Huh?
How many?
In Plymouth High School, how many people went to the prom last year? No idea? 200? Class of 250 or so. Probably 200 people went to the prom. That's 100 tuxedos, most likely. And he does he do dresses also? Okay, so potentially 200 orders. How much does it cost to rent a tuxedo? Anybody know? Nobody's rented a tuxedo? How much does it cost, Austin?
I say buy, because I only buy.
Oh, you only buy, okay, well, better hand than me. No one has rented a tuxedo. Don't tell me, mom and daddy did it for you. $200? I don't know. How much? No one knows?
It varies on the brand.
All right, let's say it's $200. $200 to rent a tuxedo. Is that inaccurate? Do you know? Okay, so Plymouth High School has mandated that all males will wear a tuxedo and all females will rent their dress, not buy it, from Jose's Tuxedo and Dress Shop. He's got 200 potential clients here, $200 each. How much is that in business? 200 times 200? $40,000 worth of business. $40,000 worth of revenue. And if you figure 20% after taxes, that's how much profit? 20% after taxes, how much profit? Oh, come on, guys. Yes! Oh, he's got his fingers out. That's not a good sign. What's 20% of $40,000? What? You got how many? 20% of $40,000. 10% of $40,000 would be how much? $4,000. If you double that, it's how much profit? $8,000 in profit. $8,000 in profit after taxes. Okay, so he's got the potential of making $8,000 worth of profit. Plymouth High School said you got to have those ordered by the end of the day. Got to be ordered by the end of the day. Otherwise, we're moving on to Bob's, to Treat's Squire Shop for all the orders. Is that direct competition, right? Sure. This is business here in Bremen, or in Bremen? All right, so, comes into the office, can't connect to the internet. Cannot connect, well actually, I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. So, comes into the office, can't get to the website where he orders his tuxedos and dresses. There's one website, that's it. That's the scenario. You guys are going to figure out why. Take me through the steps. I am Jose. Take me through the steps. You're on the phone. You've got me on the phone. And you have to work this out for me. And oh, by the way, at $8,000 profit, I'm going to pay you $150 an hour if you solve this problem for me. Now, that doesn't mean that you waste an hour and a half going through stuff. If you can't figure it out pretty quickly, I'm going to fire you. Because that's a real life. Don't talk when you don't raise your hand. All right? So, what are you going to do? The internet's down. The internet's down. I call you up. The internet's down. Jason, what's the first question? Check the DNS server. I don't know where the DNS server is. Okay, I'm on my computer. Come on, guys. We gotta go through this quickly. So, Jason, I'm on my computer and I can't connect to the internets. What do I do? Okay, so I go up here and I type IP config / all. Hit enter. Wait, it's not doing anything. It's just sitting there. It's sitting there and I'm looking at an article about Brian Kelly going away. What do I do?
You go into your command prompt and type.
Oh, I go to my command prompt. Where's my command prompt?
You hit the Alt R key.
Hit the Alt. Alt what? I'm holding down the Alt key.
R.
Oh, holding down the Control R. Control R. Nothing happened. Come on.
Hit the Windows key.
Time is money. What?
Hit the Windows key, type CMD.
Hit the Windows key. WINDOWS. Enter. Nothing happened. All right.
I got this.
Wait a minute. Stop. Stop. Time out. I know that this sounds ridiculous, but welcome to my world. Okay? So you need to get through this not only as efficiently as possible, but without losing it. Without losing your composure, without making them feel like an idiot. I realize that's tough for me. Okay, let's move on. Somebody else. Who thinks they can get me through this? Jill, talk to me.
Okay.
Now, by the way, you can't see what I'm doing, so I don't want you to look at the screen up there.
Okay, that was really funny.
Yeah, because you're in Plymouth, Indiana. You're in the Caribbean, taking a vacation, trying to make a living. Wait, where's your father go on vacation? Anywhere?
Sometimes he goes to, we have family in Chicago. Then he goes
Okay, so I'm in Chicago, basking in the glow of the Bears' victory on Thanksgiving night, and I'm not in Bremen, Indiana, helping Jose try to order stuff. So what are you gonna do?
Okay, so there's a Windows key on your motherboard.
On my motherboard.
Whatever it's called, I forgot what it's called. Your keyboard.
Okay, on my keyboard, I got you.
On your keyboard, do you know where it's at?
No.
Okay, it looks like Windows. It looks like Windows. It's a little key right next to Alt and a space.
Alt and the space bar. There's nothing in between the Alt and the space bar.
No, it's right next to it. I didn't say it was between it. To the
Right
left.
next to which? I've got an Alt key next to my space bar. I've got another Alt key next to my space bar.
Okay, it's left of the Alt key.
Left of the, okay, I got it. That's a Windows key.
Press it.
I pressed it. I've
Okay.
got a bunch of pictures.
Okay, now go to.
Now I'm gonna look at my screen. You can't see it.
Okay. Okay, is there a magnifying glass on your, where is that?
Picture of a magnifying glass.
A magnifying glass, yes. On the screen, on your screen, is there?
Just type CMD.
All right, I'll give you a break. Yes.
Okay, now press it.
All right.
Okay, now press it, now type in command.
Command. No, don't look at the screen. In fact, turn your little self around here. Okay, command. Type command.
Yes,
COMMAND.
yes.
Now what?
Does it come up command prompt?
It does say command prompt.
Okay, press it.
Huh?
Okay, no, press it, command, no.
Press it. I pressed it.
Okay.
Didn't do anything. Brought up the keyboard down below.
Did you press the icon of it, or did you press the word stick?
You said press command prompt. I pressed command prompt. I just pressed it again. All right, Jill. You've done a great job so far. Somebody else raise their hand, other than Austin, who has answered every question I've asked. Don't hide behind the cover. Jessica, hit enter. I hit it. Now what? No, don't look at the screen. You're cheating. What's on my screen? Results for command prompt, and then my little magnifying glass.
Press the Windows key again.
Press the Windows key. Got it.
Type CMD.
CMD. Now what? I don't even do a magnifying
Hit
glass.
enter.
Enter, now look at the screen. All right, now I've got a black screen with a box that keeps winking at me. I can't connect to the internet. I need to get this order in. IP config. Enter. IP config is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program, or batch file. It's winking at me again.
Okay, so how did you put it in?
How did I put it in? I typed it in on my keyboard.
Right, capital I,
Capital I,
capital P,
capital P,
and
lowercase, huh?
lowercase c,
C,
O,
O, N.
I.
Oh, I type M instead of N because I can't hear very well. All right, I've got a bunch of stuff written out.
Alright, there should be something listed as. There should be something titled IP4 address.
IP4 address, IPv4 address, got it? Bunch of dots.
Are there any numbers?
Yeah, there are some numbers. 10.40.11.100.
Alright.
All right, you've done a good job so far. Who's next? I can't connect to the internet. Michael Feast. Don't look at the computer.
Are you connected to, go on the bottom right hand, there's the wireless,
Should I close this window of the thing winking at me?
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Bottom right hand corner, there's a little wireless, kind of looks like it's right next to your sound, on the left side of your sound.
On the left side of my sound, I don't know where the sound is. Yeah, hold on. Don't look at the screen. Okay, quickly, I'm running out of time. All right, so I've got a bunch of stuff at the right-hand side of the bottom of my screen. I've got a keyboard-looking thing. I've got a folder with a gear in it. I've got an S with a red X through it. What else? I got a bunch of icons now, or a bunch
Hover
of,
over your icons and hover this thing.
okay? Skype for Business. Get Windows 10. Send to OneNote. Facial recognition temporarily disabled. Desktop for Kurt Feast, face log, or desktop for Jose, face login mode. Dell update. Your system is up to date. Last scan 12/1/2015. Next scan : 12/4/2015. Bluetooth devices, blah, blah, blah. Intel HD graphics. Dell audio. PCSC public internet access.
Click on that.
Click on it.
Yes.
I clicked on it.
Does it show that you're connected to the internet?
It says PCSC public internet access.
Okay, go to back to your command prompt.
Oh, back to command prompt. I'm there.
Type in
TRACERT
space
space
www.google.com.
www.what? Google.com. Enter. Trace www.google.com is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program, or batch file. All right, you've done a good job so far. Josh, Everly, turn around. What do? I just fired 3 different guys, girls, people, supposed IT specialists.
do the same thing you just did, but instead of typing space, push the long bar on your keyboard, also known as the space bar.
I keep pressing it. Huh?
Do TRACERT spacebar once. www.google.com. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Oh boy.
It's just winking at me and it's not doing anything.
Yeah, be patient.
Huh?
Please be patient.
Unable to resolve target system name 1www.google.com.
You need to get a new computer.
All right. All right, let's stop. Now, a couple things, a couple reasons I went through that. One is that it's difficult, listen up, it's difficult to communicate these requests to somebody over the phone. That's first thing. Second thing is you need to be familiar with the different tools that you have available to you, which is why we went through the material in this last chapter. Either have it available at your fingertips, just a Google search quickly, but you really need to think about the process that you go through. So you need to think about, here's a surefire way to test, actually I'm sorry, let's back up. If you want to know right away whether someone's internet connection is properly configured, which would consist of an IP address, proper subnet mask, proper gateway, proper internet connection, make sure that their router is working properly, and make sure that everything in between you and the destination is working properly, so the ISP is working properly, all that kind of stuff. What is a quick and easy way, and I'll give you a hint, using the ping command to make sure that everything is working? Yes? Ping my IP address? I'm sorry? Ping a website that you know is going to respond. Okay, because you're going to get lots of information. I want you to take a look at the screen up here. You get lots of information when you do that. So, if I ping a common IP address or a common website, let me scroll up so you guys can see it. A common website that I know is going to respond. If I ping www.microsoft.com, I'm not going to get, well, I might. Let's try it. www.microsoft.com. Okay? All right. Now, this is telling you a bunch of stuff. Okay? This right here is telling you a bunch of stuff. One, after I type www.microsoft.com, it says pinging E1000 or 10088 dot whatever. What that's telling, what is that telling me? That if it says pinging, after I type www.microsoft.com, and it comes back and says pinging, forget the name, let's just say it's an IP address, pinging 23.201.74.147. What is that telling me right there? What is that telling me? Everybody should have their hands up. If I type www.microsoft.com and it says pinging an IP address, what is that telling me?
That you have internet access.
No, not necessarily. It doesn't. What is it telling me?
Your DNS is working properly.
DNS is working properly. Why, Quinn?
Because you can get out to the website.
Because what?
You can get out to the website.
No, because that could be cached on my local machine. Why?
Because you put Microsoft.com and then it gave you that IP address.
Came back and gave me an IP address, which means it is resolving a host name, www.microsoft.com, to an IP address, 23.201.74.147. So it's telling me that I'm able to get either to a DNS server or, as you'll learn in the next chapter, somewhere it's getting resolved. And there are two other ways of it getting resolved, which is why I turned down two answers that you guys already gave. It could be a host file on that local machine that says www.microsoft.com equals 23.201.74.147. Okay. Now, so the first thing is, chances are DNS is working properly because I have this. Now, that DNS could be local to my network, which means if I don't get certain response back, then maybe DNS is working properly, but maybe the ISP is screwed up. Right? Because DNS, I could have a DNS server on my own network that's working properly, but not be able to get out to the internet. DNS server is working properly, but the internet is not. Okay, what else is this response telling me that's good? What else is this telling me? So we've got pinging, the IP address with 32 bytes of data. What are the next 4 lines telling me? Michael? You got to sound off. It's repeatedly pinging you with data. And what is it telling me the next? It is not, yes, actually it is. That's on down. But I'm getting reply from. So Michael's correct. It is, I'm getting a response from that host on the other side with 0% packet loss. So the next 4 lines after that pinging tells me that I'm getting somewhere. And it's also telling me in the next 4 lines that not only am I getting a reply, but it's a good connection because 0% of the packets at the end of that second line down there below, 0% loss of packets. Okay? So now I've figured out a bunch of stuff. So when I do that, clearly if my own IP configuration was wrong, would I be able to get out to the internet? Pause that, please.